Hello, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. This is Gary Wright from ISITC Europe. Uh, One of our regular podcasts on the T+1 task force, and this is going to be about the recommendation around standard settlement instructions, or SSIs. And to that end, we have Bill Meenaghan joining us. Bill, for those you don't know, is one of the industry's leading experts on settlements per se, let alone SSIs, but in particular standard settlement instructions, where he's involved with a startup, SSImple, and we're going to talk about what the recommendations are from the task force around SSI. So, good morning, Bill. Welcome. Can I ask you to start the recommendations in the task force report? Can you tell us about SSIs? Why are they important?
Hi, Gary. Yes, absolutely. So SSIs are very important. Every single transaction that happens where a security is moved or a cash payment is made needs to have an SSI. If you don't know the details of where you're moving the security to or making the payment to, then it's going to run into problems. Also, you need to know where your counterparty is delivering it from for a security so that you match at the depository. So SSIs are fundamental to every cash or security movement that happens in the industry today.
And does that include all types of firm, Bill, as well as the investment banks? Would this include small investment managers, small broker dealers, fund managers?
Yeah, absolutely. Every entity that makes a payment or executes a security transaction needs to be able to either deliver or receive those securities or the payment. Um, and that's from the very smallest. So even if you only do one trade a year, that trade needs to settle timely. And to do that, you need the SSI. So it is a fundamental part of every transaction that needs to happen, no matter what size business you are.
And of course, I imagine that with SSIs, that means that the data has to be maintained in near enough real time.
Yeah, they do change fairly often. So custodians have a remit, or prime brokers have a remit to assess what network they use. So generally, we see that there's a one or two sub-custodian changes a year. So when those happen, the if the sub-custodian changes, then that means that every SSI for that particular custodian, for that market, will also change. So they are changing all the time. There's also industry changes, things like PSETs, which are normally fairly static, but they do change from time to time. Some PSETs allow particular security types, and the scope of what can settle within a market also changes as well. So they do change timely, but you also have accounts that are being created. So if an investment manager gets a new mandate and starts trading on behalf of a pension fund today, that's a new relationship. It's a new account that has been set up, and all of those SSIs go out. So it isn't a set list of data that is always there. It is constantly evolving and changing depending on what's happening with that particular client.
And is there any technology that's out there for firms that haven't invested in the technology to deal with SSIs? Is there technology out there to automate this process?
Yeah, there is, and not trying to just talk about simple, but there is technology out there that means that you can work with your custodian to automate the flow of data from the custodian into a system. So that's one of the things that we're heavily involved in. The recommendations that initially the Financial Markets Standards Board released was that SSIs should be automated. So that is the primary goal. That's their core principle one, that SSIs should be automated where possible. Core principle two, and this captures all of the smaller firms. If you're not able to automate, there is an Excel spreadsheet that can be filled in. It's quite a big spreadsheet in terms of the number of columns that are in there and the fields that are available in there. But again, it's still a way that you can try and standardize it and get the right information in. If you are able to automate it, that's great. That needs to, as you said before, be a real-time process. So as things change, the systems get updated, and from there, anybody who's using that also gets an update with the new SSIs. That's one
Uh,
of the. Oh, sorry, Graham.
no, carry on, Bill. Sorry.
That's okay. I was just going to say one of the ways we've designed Simple is that we work with the custodian to help them manage that data. So from our point of view, we can help automate even the most manual custodian or prime broker. We can put all of their data into the correct format. We have a strong validation engine around how that data needs to be stored and maintained going forward. But we can then also permission it out to buy-side clients, and they can then decide whether they permission it to their broker dealers or third parties. We work with third parties as well. So you create a chain of information that then flows across the industry. So whenever there is a change, that gets updated out to all industry participants in real time.
You mentioned standards in your response just then. What standards are there, and where do firms find out about these standards that they should be adopting?
Yeah, there is an ISO standard that was created a few years ago that formulates how an SSI should be populated. So that's just kind of like the mechanics of how the SSI should work. So that is available on the ISO website. The Securities and Market Practice Group, they also maintain which P sets are applicable to which countries and which security types are applicable within those P sets. So that's also something that should be used to help make sure you've got the right standards. There are then also market specific standards. So for example, in the UK, the Crest ID is 3 to 5 alphanumeric characters. So that's something that, again, as you get more deeply into the data set, you need to understand exactly what the data should look like to make sure you're getting the right piece of information in, and also which fields are mandatory. So in the UK, the Crest ID is a mandatory field. You need to have a Crest ID so your counterparty knows where to deliver it from their Crest account. And that's something that across all of the different markets globally, there are standards that are required by market and security type, because they do differ within a market as well, to make sure that you're getting the right information to be able to do that payment or settlement effectively.
Well, that's great, Bill. So there's a lot of work for firms out there to be thinking about. How will you see this going forward through as we go through to the 11th of October 2027, which is of course T+1 day in the UK and very likely in the EU. So what should firms be doing now, do you think, immediately today?
Yeah, the Financial Market Standards Board, when they issued their recommendation, so that was published and became a final standard earlier this year in 2025. They put in place a process where you need to be automated by the end of 2026 where possible. So for all of the FMSB members, they do need to be looking at what they do through the rest of this year and going into 2026. They shouldn't be waiting until 2027, because they will need to sign off that they or attest that they have developed the right processes to automate SSIs where possible. The UK recommendation also talks about automating SSIs as well. So again, it's in readiness for 2027, but we've just finished the work with one custodian, and it's taken about 6 months or so to fully onboard them. So that's again an average timeline that people should be thinking about. It takes at least that amount of time to get ready, prepare for that migration to an automated solution. So if you don't start it fairly soon, then you are going to be running into 2027, and that's where I think you may then run up against the deadline of the 11th of October 2027, and you may not have a solution in place.
Well, that's a very clear call to action for the industry to don't wait, start today, look at SSIs, understand it, understand the standards, look at the technical solutions that are available in the market, and then start your implementations. So don't wait. It's 2027, 11th of October. It's all going to come very, very quickly. So, Bill, thank you very much for giving such a clear message to everybody on SSIs. Very welcome that from you, and perhaps we can get you back again some other time to talk about another subject, maybe. So thanks very much, Bill.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. Absolute pleasure talking to you. Happy to do any more sessions in the future. Thanks.
Okay.